top performers who are consistently doing north of 100 million annually do 8 or more events a year. It's just a weird data point. And unbeknownst to each of them, that these other top players are doing it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Andy Bovender, who is the team lead of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. What I love about them is they've helped over 5,000 families find a place. So today's episode is with my good friend Jason Rowland out of Chicago, and he shares the one area of the market that he discovered a unique opportunity. So before we get started, I wanted to take a moment and share with you about the Inner Circle group. It's currently waitlisted, but if you'd like more information about how you can join that mastermind, follow the link in the description below. And as always, I'm your host and referral partner out of San Francisco, Shawn Kunkler.
Jason Rowland, what's up, man? Welcome back.
Good to be here, man. Good to be here, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm actually really looking forward to this conversation of how you saw an amazing opportunity in the market and you just went super hard on the paint. But before we talk about that, if you could just give the listeners a quick overview of who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Rowland, Rowland Group, Compass in Chicago. We do a little bit of everything, Shawn. Kind of a jack of all trades, if you will. We're doing new construction sales. We do obviously the resale, buys, sells, single family homes, condos, multifamily. We're kind of all in the space, and if it makes sense, we're getting our hands on it. So we're busy in Chicago, and it's good stuff.
Nice. It's funny. I mean, dude, it's crazy to think how long I've known you, and we've actually never met face to face.
But we are changing that in 2025.
We are. We actually have. It's on the books, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think it was. I can't remember if you reached out to me for a referral or I reached out to you, and then I think we've exchanged a couple referrals since then, and it just morphed into. It actually morphed because you had a mastermind group. And then somebody dropped out and you're like, hey, man, I need a San Francisco agent. Like, are you in? And I was like, hell yeah. I think that's where it all began.
That was before COVID. And then we even did more in COVID with, not to date ourselves, with Clubhouse.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That was a crappy platform.
Yeah. So, hey, you got to try it though, right? You got to try it.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm super excited that this podcast and the past gets that parlayed into the Inner Circle group, which you're obviously a part of. And holy cow, that has been, I don't know about you, but for me, it's been a game changer.
Listen, Realtor 180 has been great. I'm a big fan. I think I believed in it from the beginning. And what I can say is what it's become is really exciting to be in the seat and watching and part of. The referrals are great. The access to some of these top minds around the country has been phenomenal. Sometimes you'll catch yourself on the call and you have some really good things to say, but what's being talked about is so powerful and the messaging is so valuable. You never even get to say what you wanted to say, and half hour goes by and you're like, oh shit, I was going to say, but this all just, and your notes are full and you're like, man, this is great. So huge fan. Looking for the next phone call.
It's wild, but I typically have a meeting with my team after the calls, and I seriously always have a notebook of. I'll sit down with my team like, all right, on this call we went through X, Y, and Z. What one thing could we implement into the business right now and improve 1%? Like, what could we do? Not change, but what could we like? What's the tweak? What's like that little thing? And oh my God, from like Francie Molina to Andy Bovender to Lindsay Nurin. I mean, it's like you're constantly, it's kind of, I was thinking about it the other day, it's peer coaching.
Yeah.
Like you have the best of the best of the best giving you insights. And the other cool thing is it's a really, I love that it's a safe space where you're like, hey, like this part of my business, I'm struggling and I just don't know what to do. And 10 people will raise their hand and be like, I had the same problem. Here's how I approached it. And you're like, I didn't even think of that. Like it's been a game. It's been a whole game changer for me.
Yeah, and I also think knowing that it's not only Compass agents, it's spread throughout a network of brokerages, powerful minds from east to west coast and everywhere in between. It's just everyone has a different look at what their business is doing and different ideas, and is full access to share. Super helpful.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, and it's like it's been an idea in the back of my mind that I'm trying to fully mature it, but I almost want to write a book called something to the effect of like Through Line, because talking to you, for example, it's like the things that you're doing there's commonalities between what you're doing and what like Chris Hagerman out of Sacramento is doing. And then it's like what he's doing is then similar to what Brian Knox is doing out of Florida. And so there are these in the business. Yes, we can all do things our own way and leave our own fingerprint on it, but there are weird through lines. For example, top performers who are consistently doing north of 100 million annually do 8 or more events a year. It's just a weird data point. And unbeknownst to each of them, that these other top players are doing it. But I feel like I'm the AI of this because I've had all these conversations, but I have like all this data in my head. I'm like, oh shit, that's like what these 5 people are doing, and this is what these 5 people are doing, and this is what they're doing. And so at some point, I need to like put it together and put it into a book.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy flow chart too. I'm just thinking about all the things you know and can piece together from broker to broker, city to city, and all the ins and outs of that. That's you've got to have some crazy behind the scenes optics and all that stuff. It's got to be wild.
It's wild, and I think the other really cool thing is in having these conversations is people share.
Oh,
like people, they'll give you such good information. I mean, it's like people are really genuinely good, and they're wanting to help.
Yeah.
And that's always been the part that's been really humbling.
Yeah, I mean, I think back at 2010, Jason, and I was very close to the vest. You know, my ideas are my ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing. You know, very, very young in the business, and now it's just like I had a guy call me the other day from another team at Compass, and we just reached out to ask about a property and some other things. We got talking, and he and I are having a conversation next week, and it's, you know, he's looking for a little bit of change of scenery. So who knows how it all works, but yeah, you know, you got to be an open book, and the more you share, I think just, you know, equal or more comes back.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I mean, obviously, because I've had that opportunity to sit with agents, but I think as you get older and your business matures and you're more financially stable, and I know you've done it. Like, hey, I got this referral. They're looking to do X, Y, and Z, and you're like, look, that's not me. This is my strength and powerhouse. What they want isn't within what I do. Call this person, and it's like a different. You can always sniff out people like that who are of that upper caliber.
Yeah, I think you've done a good job of it, and Realtor 180 and got a solid group, and it's gaining steam and growing those like-minded people as well. So it's good.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for it. And it's funny. I remember, to go back to the very beginning, you were one of my first guests, like way back in the early day. And I remember reaching out to you. I'm like, hey man, I'm about to work on this project. I'm looking to sit down with some agents, and would you be open to doing a podcast? And your literal text back to me was, hell yeah.
Yeah.
When?
And I'll never forget the one-liner that I still say. I think we did a post on it too, but I'll never forget the one-liner in the session was we were talking about business or how communication or whatever. And my one-liner was, email sucks. pick up the phone or whatever. And I'll never forget that. That was hilarious. That was a while ago, man. It might have been COVID days.
Yeah, it's funny. I do remember we did a few marketing pieces with you're like emails suck. Just like what?
It's funny,
but that's how.
Did not to like go crazy about it, but like literally yesterday, this just happened. We had somebody on the team was working with a vendor, and the vendor didn't deliver what they were instructed to deliver. So my question was to the guy on the team, like, hey, did you call them? No. Have you spoken to them? No. So what'd you do? Oh, I just emailed everything. Like, give me the number. I'm calling them. Called them.
Yeah.
Got what we needed. Expedited. No charge. Like, you just have to pick the phone up.
Yeah.
I told him because he's not to age discriminate, but whatever the generation is, like 33 and under, I'm very upset. Well, not upset. They're lucky they didn't grow up in the phone sales days, because picking their phone up and using it would have been horrible. They just don't know how to do it. Most of them.
I mean, it's true. I mean, for us, Gen X, or at least me, Gen X, is text is a new iteration for us. Whereas, like my two kids that are one's when in the early 20s, one's just shy of 20s, texting is the norm, and then calling is the secondary.
Wild.
And so it's just, it's like cultural programming, cultural shit.
I sold lawn care over the phone in college to make a buck.
Oh, jeez. Dude, selling over the phone, I sold ad space. Basically, you're selling air and ideas. It is so flippin' hard to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
awesome.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, I think we saw it in COVID. We saw it with masks. How many open house or how many times did you go meet a client and they're wearing a mask and you're having a conversation and you're thinking to yourself, I can't read them. Mm-hmm. I can't really tell if they like the place or if I'm building rapport with them. I can't mirror them. I can't see if they're smiling or frowning or sticking their tongue out. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And email is like 3 times removed from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
so bad.
And I think the other thing too, when you do pick up the phone, is it doesn't give people time to craft the perfect email and choose the perfect words or come up with the perfect argument. You tend to get a little bit more instant authenticity versus this. Especially if you're calling a vendor who didn't perform, they're immediately going to be on defense. They're going to have all the time in the world to research it and craft the perfect email and then counterpunch everything you're doing. Whereas you pick up the phone, it's live. It's go time.
Right. Exactly. You're in the paint.
Yeah. It's like, it's happening.
Yeah, I know.
Now you're ready to go.
Yeah. So thank God for phone sales that carved us to get us here today, right?
Did you know actually what gave me an incredible amount of confidence? Like I do it now, like random numbers come in and I'll be driving with my family and I just pick up and everybody's always like, oh, that gives me anxiety. I'm like, yeah, you just do it. But when I was doing the ad sales, I had a manager straight up pull her chair up next to me, facing me, with a pen and pad, taking notes of me placing calls and then auditing my calls after the fact.
Oh boy.
And I got so confident with just not giving a crap who's listening that I think that's what helps me do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're doing results matter, right? Like you sell some space and it's like, okay, cool. It's working. Whatever I'm doing is working, which is a confidence boost. And now here you are. Yeah. I don't know how much time has passed since we've done our first interview. And now look what you've built.
2 years.
Look what you've built. Look what you've built. That's why it's no big deal. Hop on these podcasts and it's like eating a bowl of cereal. No big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, with like anxiety of let's say talking on the stage, the more that you do it, actually that part of your brain grows and you become more proficient at it. And all the things that I used to be nervous about with doing the podcast, like researching the heck out of everybody and just trying to be so thorough, I don't need to do any of that anymore. But I think you were on the podcast. I'd have to look, but a good 2 years ago.
It's probably been at least.
And yeah, I mean, I used to get like not real bad, but I would get a little anxious as soon as we hit record. And a few times, like I would feel like the cold sweats of like, I don't know what to say now. There's a weird pause. Then I realized I was like, dude, if there's a 10-second pause where we're just staring at each other, editing's going to take that out.
All good. Yeah.
No one's going to know. Or if I really screw up what I say, they'll just clip it.
Yeah.
Or if my guest says something like really stupid, which it typically doesn't happen.
This interview isn't over yet. It could happen.
It could happen. This could be the first. Who was it? Gosh, I don't remember who I was talking to. It was recently, like the past 3-ish episodes. I was mid-sentence and I literally stopped. And I was like, 1, I have no idea what you just asked me. And 2, I have no idea what I was just saying. and I'm so sorry. And my guest, I think it was Susie. And she just like laughed. And I was like, yeah, it's whatever. I mean, I'm human. Like this shit happens.
I mean, we're in the paint, right? It's live. But we can edit it.
You're in it. Let's change gears a little bit. I want to talk about your business because I mean, we all clearly lived through the crazy COVID. We lived through the interest hikes and the dive of the interest rate. We've seen a lot of stuff, and you've been in the business for a lot of years, so you've seen a lot even prior to the craziness. But more recently, you and your team, you've seen opportunities. So I want to kind of unpack what you're seeing and what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier with the intro, we kind of are a jack of all trades. So condo sales, single family home sales, new construction sales, multifamily sales. We kind of do a little bit of everything. And last year saw a big spike in multifamily sales for our business as a team. So being in that space and moving 2 flats, 3 flats, 5 flats, all the way up to 20 flats and everything in between has been kind of, a learning curve, but at that cadence, but saw a lot, learned a lot. There's a lot of opportunity in the space. I feel like there's a whole lot of real estate agents now with that in the resi space. I think there's enough for everyone to eat too. I think there's a lot of meat in the bone and everyone can get a little piece and make a good living. But that whole multifamily space, I think, is ripe. There's not as many agents in that space doing things. There are definitely some very talented folks in the space doing great things. And we were able to do some significant business last year, which has been great. Hopefully we can capitalize on that. It looks like we may be able to again year after year. So yeah, that's been one of the big things for a 2025 push is to get back in that saddle and make some noise.
It's interesting, me being in San Francisco near Chicago, which both cities have a really good renting demographic. And I know for us that 2 to 4 unit building is kind of a weird opportunity sweet spot where it's a little too small for commercial guys and girls, females, women. And it's a little too complex for people who do just single family homes and condos. And so it's like this weird doldrum in between the two that it presents a hell of an opportunity. And then for the individual who needs a little coaching on it, if they're going to occupy a 4-unit building in one of the units, that's a residential loan. That's a traditional loan they can get. And so there's a great opportunity for people to house hack right there.
Yeah, we did a couple deals with some house hackers last year that were moving in. Obviously, that was really unique and cool to see and help them with. And it's interesting. So 2 to 4 flats in Chicago, some of those are just really old, not maintained. maybe there's a better use in terms of knocking it down and becoming new construction. Then it flies into what is it zoned? Is it zoned for single family? Is it zoned for a condo development? So that all plays. And then is it good enough that it doesn't need to be demoed, but there's value add aspects to it where you could buy it for 800, put in 200, have a live-in owner unit, and then have some higher rents above you for that house hack with a renovation aspect to it. And then there's the finished product that's either been renovated or newer construction, 3 flat, 4 flat, 2 flat, whatever it may be. That's a higher priced asset to sell. So it's kind of a couple different categories there.
Do you guys have tenancy in commons, TICs?
Mm-hmm.
They actually, from my understanding, they started in San Francisco, and I have found that's been for people who want a house hack, who do that renovation, it's an amazing opportunity for them to basically sell off the other units, and more often than not, cover the cost of their own unit in the process.
Yeah, so there is a thing we did a deal where there was a buyer who did the loan where you can, if you're buying the asset, you can close the deal by only putting 5% down for a 4 unit, 5% down.
Damn.
So it was a value add opportunity. It was a 4 flat, but you had to be moved in within 60 days of the closing. Now, if there's tenants in with leases and it's full, that time frame matters. How can it align? Or do you need to have one of the tenants sign off on it? Hey, I'll leave. And will the lender you're dealing with allow that? So there's all kinds of metrics that go into it. It all worked out. It was fine, but we got to figure it out. But that's a thing. So you can, if you're in Chicago, you can buy a 4 flat. If one of the units is vacant, you can say you're living there, move in there within 60 days of the ownership, and your loan will only be 5% down.
Well, and I think that's where the savviness comes in, is a lot of, if you just specialize in residential condos or single families, you may not know those little pieces. And that's where some of this gets lost in translation. And so for people like you who see that opportunity and specialize, my first multi-unit, which was I can't remember if it was a 3 or 4 unit, is the agent needed help. Basically just needed another set of eyes to try to figure out this stuff because they didn't know. And so pulled me in on the opportunity. And then I got this crash course in learning it, and then went on to sell a few others. And that's how I cut my teeth. But my point with that is some agents in all markets don't cover the sector. So if you learn to specialize in it, they'll just refer it to you because it's not their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Do you do?
I was going to say, back to the tenancy in common, I was thinking it as of, like if you and I bought a building and we own it, and that's how I was thinking of it. That happens a ton. You and I form an LLC, buy 6 buildings together. That happens all day. We do that. There's a lot of that kind of space. If that's your speaking.
Oh, so tenant.
But it's different.
Yeah,
I just looked it up while we're doing it. I'm not thinking of it right.
Yeah, so I can kind of break it down if for other people who may not be listening to it. But basically, in a place like San Francisco, where the cost of living and cost of property went up so high so fast that individuals weren't able to afford condos. And so the way they at first initiated it is, let's say you and I wanted to buy a 2-unit building, but you and your family wanted to occupy 1 floor, and my family wanted to occupy the other floor. And so how do we buy that together? So we would create a TIC, tenancy in common agreement, and basically it's kind of like a condo. But the big difference is, rather than with a condo, the individual tax bill going to the individual units, with a TIC, the tax bill goes to the building.
Yeah.
And then both parties are collectively responsible. So they use like a fractional loan. But why that's important is, if, let's say, you decide to move to San Francisco and you want to house hack and you want to do it like on a high level, you buy a 4-unit building, move into one of the units, do cosmetic upgrades or whatever you want to do, create a TIC agreement with an attorney, and now sell off the individual units. And immediately your price per square foot goes up immediately.
Yeah,
and then if it's a 2-unit building and this is just based on current laws and regulations, if it's a 2-unit building and it meets all the criteria and both floors are owner occupying, you can then fast track a condo conversion. And so now you buy it as a 2-unit building for, let's just say $600 a square foot. You go through a TIC process, you go through the condo, and poof, a year later, you're now at over $1,000 a square foot. Granted, it's going to cost you time, money, and energy, but you've just increased the value of your asset. But that's similar to Chicago. There's a weird gap in the market that, especially like newer agents, there's 6,000 agents in San Francisco. Like a lot of them are new, and a lot of them just don't know the nuances as of yet.
Yeah, but I don't do deals like that in Chicago. But that's why I was thinking of it when you said that. In my mind, I was thinking, oh yeah, it's just like if Sean and I bought a building together and just formed the LLC and bought it. And just, if we held it, we traded it. If I moved in or he moved in, that's just what happened. That's how I was thinking of it. So I was incorrect. But yeah, I don't do deals like that, like you just spoke to.
Well, there might be a heck of an opportunity there.
Maybe. I'm going to go look at my real estate law in Illinois and see if that's even allowed.
Yeah, I wonder if it is.
I'm going to look that up now and just see. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I would have no idea, but I do know I've heard that they started in San Francisco because obviously our prices were astronomical. And then they've slowly moved into LA and other pockets. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Is allowed.
I can't see it.
Is allowed.
Well, Shazam. There is a.
So I was right
when you got a handful of.
But I just didn't understand it fully. I've never done a deal like
that. I'll send you actually a website of a local attorney who has a blog, and it has like a tons of question and answers. Yeah, and you can kind of explore it. I don't know if you can do it there or if it makes sense with your business model, but it's basically a way for a group of strangers to get together and buy a building, but have their own individual properties. And as you know, a condo is worth more price per square foot than a building that's 4 units.
Yeah, I just get scared when you start adding people to deals. That's just there's more chefs in the kitchen. Deals get wild.
Always. They always get weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically just you're creating HOAs is what you're doing.
I can't recall. Do you guys have attorneys in California in the SFO?
No. We have all the contracts come through our MLS, our local MLS, or our California MLS. Yeah. No, if an attorney gets involved, it's because there's problems.
So we always have an attorney on both sides of the deal in Illinois. And imagine there's a lot of attorneys in Illinois. So I've been privy to having transactions where there's husband, wife that I'm representing, our legal counsel. They have to hire legal counsel. And then whatever they're buying, those sellers have to have an attorney. Sometimes one of those sellers are an attorney. So there's been times there's 5 attorneys on a deal.
It's funny to not bring it up, but to bring it up, the whole commissions, decoupling and all of that. It's like in that situation, those people are paying out of pocket for multiple people now. Whereas in San Francisco, in California, you have one. You're paying your agent, and they're not attorneys. We're not attorneys by any stretch of the imagination, but we are handling contracts. And with that, I'm sure, I guarantee my E&O insurance is a heck of a lot more than in other places because of that.
No question. Yeah, no question.
And I've also heard that not only California, but San Francisco specifically is the most litigious area in the
Oh
nation.
boy.
Yeah, it's good times,
Yeah.
man. I mean, dude, before I send contracts, especially in the early days, I would like sweat and like double check and read everything. And like you're like 2,500,000, and then you'd write it out to make sure that, and you check all your decimal points 4 times. Dude, it's like it's stressful.
Yeah, and that's the blanket of security that we locally have covered by attorneys, which I've been fortunate enough to meet a couple of great ones, and they've stuck with me through the years, and we use them
Nice.
religiously. And you know, you can't say enough good things about having proper counsel, not only for your side of the business but for your clients. It's a nice layer, nice leg to the table. I always look at it like there's 3 legs to the table. There's the broker, there's the lender, and there's the attorney, right? And that's how the buys go. And if you've got all 3 legs strong, you're in a good spot.
Yeah. It's funny. I think that's always a hard part to articulate in terms of value to somebody you're talking to, whether it's a buyer or a seller, how important it is that for the agents to have that Rolodex. That just dated me, but to have the Rolodex of these A+ players who, hell or high water, they're gonna pull on behalf of the client.
Electricians, chimney people, good cleaners that can show up the night before an open house and clean the common stairwell. I mean, those dotting the I's and the crossing the T's. The painter to come over and paint the front door or the hallway, just to make sure it's, come rake leaves. Handyman to come rake leaves in the front yard and make it look crisp for the open house the next day. Shovel the snow. All this stuff flies into it.
So true.
It's just, there's a lot of details that go in the business that don't get talked about. That is just minutia, but is the details covered by those best in class.
And I think we sometimes just forget about it.
Yeah.
Like to go back to your point about picking up the phone. I had a client that bought a property. She was in it for a little while. We had this crazy, crazy monsoon weather. And it was basically the rain got underneath the roof and it was coming into the house. And she called me and she was like in a panic. She's like, I've called 6 roofers. No, everybody's booked. And then she's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, give me a minute. And I literally picked up the phone. I called my roofer and he's like, I could be over there in 30 minutes. And I called her back. I was like, I got somebody coming. And she's like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Hey, real estate pros, be honest. You know you should be using video, but maybe you feel awkward, don't have the time, or just aren't seeing the results. This is where Kim Rittberg's Video Bootcamp comes in. This live coaching program helps agents create high quality videos quickly and confidently, resulting in leads and clients. Her students have seen results. One landed 3 new clients directly from social media, and others brought in millions of dollars in closed sales. Spots are limited, and to apply now, follow the link in the description below.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sometimes articulate to a client, like, you got this, like, you have this like amazing team.
Yeah.
Of people, peers, and just tons of. If I ever lost my phone, I would be dead in the business.
Yeah,
I'd be dead in the water.
And just back to the articulation, like some of these were born out of dire need too, right? Like that's what I do love about the bandwidth at Compass. When I send out like I haven't done in a while, but when you send out like a need, like, hey, maybe your roofer is out for maybe your roofer's out of town for the weekend. And that's your go-to. You don't have a number 2. You need one. So you're like, hey, Compass, blah, blah, blah. You'll get like 15 emails, right? And then you're able to go through. And that's how your Rolodex is built, right? That's how you get your first, secondary, and tertiary roofer to service those clients over time. That builds, and you just got, you're almost bulletproof. You're like, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, that's how our brain is designed to protect ourselves. And so like I've known you now for years, And so if I call you and I'm like, hey, I know you're in Chicago, but I have a client who's moving in this area, which is just outside of your area. Like, who would you recommend? The second you give me the name, my filters of like prejudging that person, if they're going to be good or not, goes way down. Like my trust level in them goes way up, virtue of that. And that's very similar to our inner circle group.
Yeah.
Is like anytime I volleyed, I had so a family member reach out to me in another state, and I just volleyed it to the group. I was like, hey, family member, this is what I need.
I remember that.
Immediately, somebody made an intro, called, spoke to them for a whopping 2 minutes, and I was like, you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And like you said,
that's
way back in our beginning of the phone call. You can just stuff it out, right? You know by what they're saying, how they're acting, and what they're doing, how safe a hands will be.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, top people want to work with top people.
Yeah,
and so water tends to seek its own level no matter what. Yeah. And so if you just kind of, what's the right word? I almost want to say like, not viciously, but you take away all those people you want to work with, mm-hmm. with no regard. Like, just get rid of them, delete them from your phone, and then just keep that top 20%. Like, your business will be insulated for the years to come.
Yeah,
but you just have to be super fierce about protecting that, like, your database, mm-hmm. and then build a relationship with that database, and that's where your referrals. Dude, the best feeling is when your electrician calls you and they're like, hey, my brother's wanting to buy a place. Because that electrician works with a ton of realtors all the time, and they're calling you. That's an awesome feeling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's that's great. Exactly. I mean, that's, having that bandwidth is nice.
So to kind of, I want to dig a little bit to go back to, I know where my ADD is kicking in and we're jumping around, but to go back to that's what exactly. They're like, we're just going to move these sections around so it now makes sense.
Be nice to me on the team comment, by the way. Don't make me look like I didn't know what I was talking
about. Of course. I got you. But are you doing like any in-office seminars to educate potential buyers on the house hacking, or to kind of, are you doing any marketing directly to the consumer, or are you going after more of the listing side?
I go after more of the listing side. In our business is actually pretty, it moves. Some years it's just more sellers than buyers. Sometimes it's just more buyers than sellers. It's not 80-20 by any means. It's very middling between the split on sales and buys. I typically do find that I target the sales. I like both positions, but I do find that I tend to lean towards the sales side.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, you get to a point in your career where there's a natural shift that just happens. I should say, if you are doing things right, if you're continuing to call people and you're continuing to stay in touch with them, when it comes for time for them to sell, they tend to call you. And then the more listings you get, and it's, you just build off of that.
So there's two adages, and I love these lines, and they've really held true over the years. One is, you list, you last. That's been very true. And then there's this one's so crazy. It happens more time. This happens once a month, maybe more. In the business of real estate, there's money in the ground every single day. All you have to be willing to do is lean over and pick it up. It's so true.
It's very 100%.
It's crazy. Like, you'll get a call today, maybe. Shawn, I was thinking about listing my house, and you'd be like, "Look, all I do is answer my phone." And like, that's simple thinking right now, but like, that kind of shit happens. I know. So I love it.
It's funny, when I very first got in the business, my mantra was, and this was taught to me from a coach, is first thing when you wake up in the morning, say to yourself, somebody is thinking about selling their home today, and it's my duty to go find them.
It's good.
Like, there's money on the ground. You just have to go pick it
All
up.
you gotta do.
Go find it. It's somewhere. It's somewhere.
That's all you gotta do.
You just have to find it.
Yeah.
But I think that when you program yourself like that, you approach things differently. I, for a long time, I wrote on the bottom, I always do painter's tape because it's easy to remove. But I literally wrote, how bad do you want it? So that email that comes in at 9:00 and you're tired and you're like, I can just respond tomorrow, I would read that. How bad do you want it? And I'd be like, damn it. All right. I want it bad.
Yeah.
So then I'm clicking away to craft the perfect email so I can close the deal. Yeah, I mean, because we've all had it. We've all gotten, you get, you're about to step out for lunch, you're starving, and you get that text and they're like, I need X, Y, and Z right now. And you I literally would think to myself, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to succeed? How bad do you want to help this person? How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
And it changes you. But I love that. There's money on the ground. Just go pick it up.
Go pick it up. Just lean over and pick it up. Don't watch it. Don't walk by it. Just lean over and pick it up.
Just observe it and grab it.
And that's not to go back to the multifamily side, but that's just kind of where it started last year for us. We had a couple sales earlier before the first of the year that just trickled into more and more and more. And next thing you know, it was just like, yep. And you start looking at the sales, and it's just a lot of multifamily stuff. So you're able to speak to that at a pretty high level. It was really it's a train we're hoping to stay on this year.
So are you, I guess a couple questions. Are you proactively going after agents in your office who may not be proficient, where you can get a referral or a collaboration out of it? Or are you directly marketing to the group? Or are you doing a social strategy? What are you doing to get in front of more of those people who own them?
So it's interesting. When I started my business, this is in the resi side in 2009, I literally walked the neighborhoods with pad and paper. And we may have covered this in our last call, which is 2 years ago, which a refresher. But I would literally be like this. I would have pad and paper in one arm. I'd be calling the person in another, and I would read their for rent by owner sign in the front of their gate to them verbatim and tell them that, looking at it going, yes, hello, this is Jason with so-and-so. I am touring clients this weekend. They're looking for a 2-2. I'm reading this off the sign. A 2-2, pet friendly, that has a parking space under $2,000. I see you're at $1,800. Would you be okay if I brought my clients through this weekend? They're always going to say yes. Now, that bracket of time was always August through January, when typically the rental season is slow. So these people needed help. So they're never going to say no. Yeah, come on through. What time works on Saturday? 1:00. Perfect. Sometimes I brought brokers from the office through because I didn't really have anybody. I just wanted the listing. So I would have paperwork signed before my showing. And they let me in. And I would show it. And sometimes I really did have people, but most of the time I didn't. I would just get the listing, put in the MLS. Then I'd have a client. Then I'd bring them through. Then I'd rent it. They would never think of anyone else. They'd always call me to lease it. So I became the leasing guy for those properties. And I never stopped. I did it for 3 or 4 years. I would literally walk the neighborhoods. I picked up 10 or 15 listings a year. So over 4 years, we've got a lot of listings. And a lot of these 2 and 4 flats eventually trade hands. So then it's Jason does sales too. He's our guy. He's done this, and this for us. He knows our building. He's our guy. So then I'm selling 2 and 4 flats. So it started a while ago, and it's just kind of built into this ramped up thing. And then they have friends who have investment pieces, so they just referred me. So the big part of the business is referrals. So I'm just spreading the word to the network and the sphere. This is what we're doing. We've done this. We've done that. I mean, we've done drone videos for these people. We've done before drone was cool, and we have all the photos already because we're professional a rental building or a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. We've got professional photos for it. And then we have the whole stack of all 3 units or 4 units. So we have everything to put on the market. We can go to the market like that for an owner. And that just worked. And it was just stupid simple, and it's taking notes and calling a friend by owner sign.
Dude, and it works because at some point the renters are going to move out. The owners are like, yeah, now's actually seems like a good opportunity for me to sell it. I've been wanting to cash out or do a 1031 exchange, whatever it may be. And you're already teed up as long as you maintain that relationship.
Yeah.
It's smart. It's a smart long-term play, and not dissimilar where we were just talking about agents hit that terminal velocity where your business tips and you become a listing agent. The reason you become a listing agent is because you've been putting all these people in homes that they've all gotten to a point where they're deciding to move, level up, do something different. And so that's usually the first band. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, I just had a meeting last week with a couple, and they live on a very prestigious block in a very good neighborhood in Chicago. Got a gorgeous 3-unit building, and they've done an amazing job of keeping it up and upgrading it over the years. I remember when I first talked to them, this is probably 7-8 years ago. First talked to them, they're like, yeah, we're renting this. We walked the space. He didn't tell me I was renting for. I was referred to him by another client a couple streets over that they're friends. Walked through the unit. I'm like, well, what are you renting this for? And it was like, I think it was like $1,900 a month. I looked at him with like dumbfounded eyes. Are you kidding? I told him, I'm like, this might be worth $3,000 a month. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it.
Dang.
We got him like $2,950, I think, or $2,850 from $1,900, and that was on that unit. And we get the next unit. Set a conversation with them. They're going to retire and move, and we're going to sell the building. And I don't think it's going to be this year, but it's going to probably be next year. But we're going to, get the rents up a little bit more because those people have been staying there and they have not raised the rents. Just nice owners and just want to have, good paying tenants. But I mean, that's the kind of safe hands. An easy broker would be like, oh, it's $1,900. Yeah, we'll put it in the market tomorrow for $23. We'll get it rented. We'll let the hero. But I'm like, let's get this where it needs to be. And that kind of money will make a client for life.
Yeah, not only that, people they will call their friends. Like, people know each other.
Yeah.
Like, they don't live in a vacuum.
Right.
Like, they have other friends who own properties and like, oh my God, you know who you need to talk to? Talk to Jason. Mm-hmm. I can't believe the rents that he got us. It was incredible. Yeah. Like, do good work and people will say good things about you. That's how it works. And on the flip side, if you do really crappy work, it's going to blow back on you at some point.
Yeah. And it's also having all that rental business that I built up back in the day has spurned a management company off of that. And we have like 400 units of management between Chicago and Cincinnati now that we also, it was a side hustle that's become a full-fledged business, which is great. It's amazing, but that's just a layer of resources like general contractors and all the services we just talked about earlier. It just increases the bandwidth on all those vendors. And it's another layer of service for your clients that want to buy a multifamily building. Oh, by the way, who's your management company? We can help them with that. So it's been nice to watch that grow. It's been wild.
That's impressive. I know the last time I spoke to you, it wasn't that large of a management company.
No, it wasn't.
I know it was actually, I remember talking to you in the early days. It was like just post the idea, like you were doing it, but you were still like getting your traction. Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. Yeah. And it's smart because immediately when people are moving out, which then means the value adds that you can provide. You're in direct communication with the owners all the time. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's a brilliant way to go about it. And then it parlays immediately to, well, we're thinking about selling. Great. I know the perfect person. And it's me.
Yeah. And I think it's, and some people have relationships, which I honor because some of these intros, like obviously when you reach out for vendors, some people reach out for property management companies, and I'm friendly with a lot of agents, so they're like, okay, Jason, it's great. I'll send an email to my client right now. Take care of them. I'm not going to get in the way of that. If that's a sale down the road or a rental down the road or whatever, I'm not going to get in the way of the business. That's bad business. But I can tell you that it was been a while. We had I think we had 5 pitches right before the end of the year, and we won 4 of them. I was pissed we didn't go 5 for 5, but you know what? 4 for 5 is going to get you in the Hall of Fame every single day.
Yeah. And then you're like, damn it, I have to be an overachiever.
I know, right? Like, you can't be happy with winning 4 of these 5 listing pitches for management. Damn it. But
that's like Michael Jordan. He'd get pissed when he won because they didn't win by more points or something.
Which, by the way,
I
will tell you, whenever you do make it to Chicago and get to our office, I've got the Wings poster of MJ, the black and white poster from the 80s, maybe the 90s. I think it's the late 80s, where he's got his wingspan out. You know that poster?
Dang. I know. I've seen it.
So I've got
Is it signed?
Framed in the office of Compass.
Damn. Which sneakers is he wearing?
He's not. It's just from like here up, but it's just him. It's a
Oh yeah.
photo.
That's right. I do remember
that one. I told somebody a day I forget where I was at. I was like, I got that Wings poster. He's like, oh, is yours signed? I'm like, no, it's not signed. Like, what the hell? He's like, oh, I got one signed. I'm like, okay, well, mine cost a couple $100 on eBay and got a frame. Yours probably cost $13,000. So
you're like one trade.
Yeah,
we could trade. What is smart? I mean, again, it's a smart way to step back, look at the business, and see, oh, like this dot connects here. That's an opportunity for us. We can build into that space. I think so many agents they are ping pongs, and it's like they just kind of like they bounce around, but they don't look at, as we talked about earlier, they don't look for the through line. Like where's there a pattern here, and how can we leverage the pattern? And so now it's talking to you and unpacking it more. It's making more sense of how you're getting a connection with these owners and how you're now playing a more integral part in helping them and using your resources and leveraging to that next thing. It's super smart.
Well, yeah, you just like it layers what you just said too. Like, if you think about it, you're like you're protecting your client, right? You're doing the rental, you're doing the sales, you're doing the management, you're touching all points of the income and helping the client and insulating your business around that client so no one else can touch it, right? Not to be like close to the vest, but it's like, if you can do what you can do and you can help the client in those facets effectively, then you should.
I agree, and I would caveat that with it's the other agents who I sometimes see them who they'll do a deal in the city, then they'll do a deal 50 miles away, then they do another deal that's 50 miles in the other direction. Like, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like staying within an ecosystem and staying within your wheelhouse, but not spreading yourself so thin that you're actually doing a disservice because you're not a specialist anymore. You're a generalist.
Yeah.
That's doing that other strategy. That's a completely different thing. And I don't recommend that.
No. Yeah.
Like even us.
I've softly approached the management business. Like, it has not been a full court press by any means. It has been word of mouth. It's grown very organically. Sometimes at the right pace, sometimes at a wrong pace. I mean, what I don't need is this kind of growth in the spring, summer brokerage season, because then it's mass chaos. But we have a good team, and I broach the subject unless they really bring it up. I'm very soft on the pitch. I honestly, I'm really shocked at how it's grown. But I think it just goes to good service. I have a great partner, and he provides a great amount of service to the clients from the service side and the maintenance side, which I don't even touch. I'm client facing, biz dev, kind of ops.
I mean, that's the way to do it, is stay in your lane, figure out what your lane is, stay in it, and let the other person stay in theirs and excel. There's an agent in the city here. She's actually been on the podcast, Ina. She only does leasing. She will not touch any other aspect of it. She stays in her lane. And all the agents know, if I send her a client who wants to rent for, they want to rent a luxury property, which she typically does, they know with confidence that when that seller or that tenant is about to move out, she'll ping the agent and say, hey, you might want to reach out to your client. And so it's like a healthy symbiotic relationship. And so I think there's great opportunities if you can pull those pieces in house.
Yeah.
People can replicate literally what you did, which I think is smart. And to your point is the business ebbs and flows. It changes. It's seasonal. Like, and you even shared, it's like sometimes you have more listings, sometimes you have more
Right.
buyers, sometimes you have more renters. And so if you can have the other layers to balance that, you have a more steady stream of income instead of these huge ebbs and flows of money coming in.
Yeah.
Especially with the management side. I mean, that's a nice steady stream month over
Yeah,
month.
it is. And we've talked about, it's not to go into what's ripe in that space for disruption, but that whole commercial side, just overall, like mid-rise buildings, commercial spaces. Whew. I mean, I have not seen impressive. I don't know if it's super crazy, right? But every time I go in, I mean, there's lights missing, there's lights up, there's dirty bathrooms, there's dirty floors, there's a poor door person, there's trash cans that need emptying. I see it with different eyes now when I go through buildings and see assets that could use improvement, but are paying someone to do all these things that aren't being done. So we've tossed that around. Obviously, that's an expansion of a team and a whole new level. I mean, there's elevators and there's just a lot of other service side stuff to look at, but that's something we've got our eyes
on. Dude, I have a thought. Well, when we stop recording, I'm gonna share it with you. I'm writing myself a note so I don't forget because I'm good at doing that. But yeah, you just sparked an idea, and I think it could be a killer opportunity.
Cool, big fan of those.
But dude, this is fun. This is always fun chatting with you. But unfortunately, we're at time.
Okay.
If somebody wants to find you, pick your brain, what's the best way for them to find you?
Call or text me first, then email me. So 312-927-1942 works all the time. 5 to 9 probably is a good time frame. And jason.rowland@compass.com is the email. So we'd love to hear from anybody.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. And I will see you at our Inner Circle group soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for this, Sean.